Somebody actually asks, is it right for believers to disobey the laws given by the government regarding this issue? Then let's deal with that quickly. Is it right for a believer or for the church to disobey the laws of the land or the laws given by higher authorities that we see around the place we live as believers? Now, you must first of all understand that the church is a different society. The church is not a society like the world is, because the church has its own constitution that it works with, and that laws that the church works with are in the scriptures here. Everything the church does is centered in the scriptures, while the secular world there have their own constitution they work with, or their legalities they try to follow, and it is called the constitution, the church, and it's called the scriptures. Now, even if the church or the local church operates in the society, the leaders of the church must always have this in their mind, that even while they walk in this, they operate in this world that we see ourselves, this is not their world, because a better kingdom is what they look up to receive in one day. This is not where they are going to spend their own lifestyle. So, but they're just here right now operating because this is where the master has kept them to operate. So they will see a lot of trials. And I said, COVID-19 is one of those mechanisms put out by Satan himself to use to depopulate the church. Because the devil himself understands that the church is a different society and it seems to be growing very fast. So the devil himself is devising means to see how he can depopulate or put the church to ruin. And of course, he will never succeed, because Christ said in Matthew that the gates of hell will never prevail. But is it right for the church to disobey orders given by the higher authorities or the authorities of the land? Now, we must understand right now that it all depends on the kind of authority that operates and the type of laws or orders they have passed out for the church to keep. If the church is a different society and the other society for which the church sees herself operating in gives out laws that will alter its own standards scripturally, then the church would not adhere or submit to such authorities or orders. And we'll be looking at some clear examples in the Bible. We'll be looking at some clear examples in the Bible to help us understand this better. Don't forget, in 2 Corinthians 11 verse 4, 2 Corinthians 11 verse 4 says, 2 Corinthians 11 4, for if he that cometh preacheth another Jesus, whom we have not preached, or if ye receive another spirit, which ye have not received, or another gospel, which ye have not accepted, ye might well bear with him. In Ephesians 1 verse 18, the eyes of your understanding being enlightened, that ye may know what is the hope of his calling, and what the riches of his glory, of the glory of his inheritance in the saints. That the eyes of your understanding be enlightened, that ye may know what is the hope of his calling, and what the riches of the glory of his inheritance in the saints. Now, the church has a different way of operation, and it cannot be the same as the world does us. There's no way the church and the world will operate in like manner. They will certainly operate in different manner. In Corinthians, we're also told that Satan himself has been transformed into angel of light. And don't forget, if Satan has been transformed into angel of light, at that particular time that this transformation has taken place, Satan himself will tend to be giving out things that seems to be light, but they are not actually light. So there are some rules, or there are some orders, or there are some laws that the government of the land will pass out to people, and they might seem to be good laws or orders, but believe me, the end result matters. The end result matters. Now, one of the examples we're going to look at right now is the 4 boys in Babylon. The 4 boys in Babylon. In Daniel 1 verse 7. In Daniel 1 verse 7, we were told of the 4 boys in Babylon. Daniel himself, Ananiah, Mishael, and Azariah were the 4 boys in Babylon. Now, they went through different challenges in their life while in Babylon. The first thing they observe in their lives is that the government of the land, the government of Babylon, needed to change their names, their birth name or their Israeli names, to the names that befit the standard of the Babylonian world, probably the names of their deities. They call them Belteshazzar, Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego. These were probably the names of their deities. The government needed to change their names. But the 4 boys did not react against that. Probably because that was their first experience in the land. So they did not react against that. But at the same time, or the same event, the same government choose to offer them the national cake. The same government desires to dine with them. The same government desires to give them the type of food that the leaders of that government eat. Now, it is at this time that the eyes of Daniel probably became open to understand better that this government that seems to be good the other time, that even changed our names to giving us some names that sound appealing to them according to the land. The same government is going beyond the point of changing our names to giving us or offering us the national cake. And Daniel, who was sensible in the spirit, don't forget, in Ephesians 1 verse 18, the prayer was that our spiritual eyes be enlightened. Daniel's eyes were enlightened spiritually, and he asked that he be granted that they will not eat the food the people of the land eat, or the people chosen by the king eat, that they should be allowed to eat the food they desire to eat, which has to do with vegetables. And thank God that they were given that favor. So you can see, the first phase, the government gave them good names. And those good names given to them seems actually good to the ears of men, and the boys couldn't reject those names. But because the government was not that of the Lord, there was still something attached to it, gradually, from giving of names to giving of the national cake. A lot of leaders in the local assemblies or local churches have submitted to eating this national cake. And so when you see their reactions, you understand that better. First, their names have been changed, and they accepted that easily, just like every other people did. They have been offered another end of dining with the kings, or the political leaders, or the leaders of the world, the secular leaders in the world. They have been offered the doors or the open hands to dine with them, and they also accepted that freely, without asking the Lord if that is actually okay for them to go dining with these people. Daniel objected to that, and that wasn't a disobedient attitude. He was polite in doing that, but yet he never accepted dining or eating the type of food that the king or the government of the land has ordered to be given to people of their state. They said, no, we will not eat that food. Something else was given to them, and because of his enlightened eyes, spiritual eyes, he could decode that that there's something hidden in the act of eating the type of food given to them by the government. So they said no to it. So you should be wise in the cause of accepting or working with the standard that the government has laid down for believers to follow. Just like Daniel did.